This is my first entry into my songwriting tips series. So if you're interested in learning how to write a song, or you're just curious about how songwriting works, keep watching. The first thing we're going to talk about is the first steps to writing a song. If you're someone like me who's always coming up with little snippets of melody on the fly, the most important bit of advice that I can share with you is to record everything you come up with. So if you're somewhere where you can't write something down immediately when you come up with it, pop open your voice memos on your phone and record it so that you have it for later. Let's get into some of the things you can do if you don't have any ideas to start with and you're just writing a song completely from scratch. If you're writing completely from scratch and you don't have a prior idea to get you started, it can sometimes be hard to get something down on the page. So here are some parameters that you can set for yourself in order to help you come up with your first snippet of melody or lyrics. The first thing you want to think about and come up with is the mood of your song. So is it going to be a happy song, a sad song, an angry song? Any of that works. Kind of a secondary part to this is you also want to come up with what the song is about if you're writing a song with lyrics. So are you writing a song about nature? Are you writing a song about personal experience? Or maybe even somebody else's experience? It can be anything. As long as you define that, it's a lot easier to get started. Once you've decided on the mood for your song, the next parameter you want to set for yourself is what key the song should be in. This can be as simple as deciding if you want the key to be in major to sound more happy, or in minor to sound more melancholy. Or you can go a whole lot more in depth with choosing a key. For example, if you're writing a song for a vocalist, yourself, or somebody else that plays in a band with you, you definitely want to consider what keys would be most comfortable for that person to sing in. A good rule of thumb is to look at the key you're thinking about working in and look at about 2.5 to 3 octaves kind of in the center range of that key and see if the person that you're thinking about writing for can sing all of those notes. The other interesting thing that you can do with choosing a key is you can actually go online and find resources that will tell you what different keys have been used historically to represent, because keys in the past have been used to represent very specific emotions and moods. For example, the key of F major is sometimes called the pastoral key because it's used a ton in the classical world to represent feelings of nostalgia for idyllic countryside scenery. While you're thinking about what key your song is going to be in, it's also going to be important to decide what time signature you want to use. The time signature determines how the song is going to feel rhythmically, so it's also really important to really evoking the mood that you want. For example, a lot of patriotic tunes are in a really straightforward 4/4 time signature, whereas romances and love songs tend to be in more flowing and dance-like time signatures like 3/4 or 6/8. Another parameter you can set for yourself to help evoke the mood that you're going for is the tempo. You can decide ahead of time if you want your song to be fast or slow or somewhere in between. I mentioned how patriotic tunes are usually written in 4/4, and it's interesting because they're also usually written in a tempo of about 120 beats per minute. That's because that's the perfect tempo to march to. There are also several types of dance that are written in specific tempi so that the dancers can actually perform the steps in time. The final parameter that you can think about to help yourself get started on your song is the form. This is something that not everybody knows about if you haven't been to music school, but it's really helpful. The form is how the song is laid out, what sections the song is divided into, and where they fall. For example, your typical pop song starts with a verse, then there's a chorus or a refrain, then there's another verse, another chorus, a bridge, and a final chorus. That's what describes the form of a pop song. There are tons of different forms in the classical world, and maybe we'll get into that on a separate video. Setting these 5 or 6 parameters can really help you get your creative brain going on a new idea. I found that the easiest way to get started when I have nothing to begin with is to take all of those parameters, the key, the time signature, the mood, the tempo, and the form, and start improvising on my instrument in that key, in that time signature, in that tempo. Sometimes it doesn't take very long at all for me to come up with an idea that I really like. I hope all of this has helped you if you're interested in learning to write songs, and I hope it was interesting for those of you who are just curious about how the way songwriting works. I'll see you next time on Fiddle and Fables.